Hello and welcome to another episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. Today, we've got an unboxing video. In this video, we're going to be unboxing the NECA 1962 Godzilla figure. I've been really excited for this one, and yes, I am pretty late to the party with this, because as it turns out, in Australia, these figures come out much later than they do in the US. And you know, I would have imported this from the US, but there's a big issue with getting these figures in Australia, and that is, aside from just the new GST tax that we have, making everything like 10% more expensive from overseas, aside from that, the conversion rate from US dollars plus the actual postage cost of small parcels from the US to Australia is bloody insane. So I've been having to wait months and months and months since, you know, these things were released in America to actually get one. And eventually I did find one on eBay from a seller somewhere in New South Wales. They shipped it over here to Queensland, and now we can take a look at it. So just getting the box open. Nice big box for this, so I'm kind of curious how big the actual figure box is, because I'm assuming it's not as big as this box, because you know, I'm assuming the figure is only about this big. Here's another NECA figure. It's the 54 Godzilla. We can compare the two later on, but yeah. So I found one at a relatively affordable price. Nowhere near as cheap as they go for in America, though. They're still pretty expensive figures here in Australia. But this one looked awesome, and as far as NECA figures go, they've had a sort of hit and miss kind of thing going on with their Godzilla figures. Yeah. It was just packaged in a bunch of newspaper in here, so yes, we do get a nice smaller box. And I'm really excited to see this box, because I've seen other people unboxing this thing, and it comes in a pretty package. For those of you guys who collect NECA Godzilla figures, you'd know that generally they come in like a standard sort of clamshell packaging with, for some reason, a picture of the Bandai Creation Godzilla 1954 figure at the back of it, instead of even a NECA figure. I don't know why they did that. But anyway, they went all out with this packaging, so let's take a look. Get all this bubble wrap off. Super excited for this. And here we go. So what is this? They gave me a couple of stickers and like a postcard. That's interesting. Shaken Not Nerd. Don't know what that is. Yeah, whatever these things are. Some stickers. Interesting. Get rid of that. And wow, I love this packaging. This is like movie poster aesthetic of, you know, the Godzilla vs. Kong movie poster here. And yes, it has a little opening, and you guys are seeing the figure first, so hopefully it's not derpy or anything. Isn't that awesome? Oh yes, nice shiny eyes, nice sculpt, very bulky figure. Loving it. Loving this picture here too. And he comes with a beam. I forgot about that. Ah, that's so awesome. So this packaging, if I'm correct, will be pretty much the same size as the one that came with the 8-bit sort of Godzilla. It's actually a tiny bit wider at the top, if you guys can see. So this is the one that came with the I don't know if there's a, I took it out of the packaging, so it's somewhere on my shelves somewhere. But this one, the 8-bit sort of Monster of Monsters Nintendo type one, which they just reused their 1984 sculpt, which was atrocious, but it actually worked well for this sort of 8-bit aesthetic. And the box is really similar in scale, and I'm really glad to see them moving their standard figures into this sort of range. And yeah, like I said with NECA, their sculpts have been really mixed. So when I saw photos of this one coming up, it was just looking beautiful, because, you know, aside from the 2014 line of figures, and now the 2019 ones that are coming out for King of the Monsters, aside from those, and perhaps GMK and this, oops, scissors fell, and this 54, the sculpts have been really subpar. The 1984 figure that they put out was garbage. I don't even feel bad saying that, it just was. And they're sort of Heisei era Godzilla figures. From a distance look good, but when you went close up, the details were just lazy. And knowing how good NECA can actually do with their figures, it was really a shame that they were botching the Godzilla line, which is something that's very dear to me. Anyway, we're going to open up this box and get a good look at the figure. So it does come with a little dangling tag, so you can hang your box, which I may or may not do. I'm definitely going to have this one on display. And we'll just open it up. There's a bit of tape up the top. And I don't have a ruler on hand, so hopefully these scissors won't damage the box too much. It's going good. But yeah, so far, really good impression. Loving this thing. Okay. And, oh, smells very plasticky. Very fresh vinyl, as fresh vinyl reviews would say. I did kind of steal my channel name from his channel, though. I don't know. But I don't really use that term very much. Oh, cool. And he comes with a little Mount Fuji backdrop, which is awesome. From the inside of the box. So you could put your figures up in front of this thing. So, you know, now he's in like a typical sort of clamshellish kind of packaging, a very floppy one. We can take him out of here, because it's got all these little bendy wires that you gotta deal with. These are always fun and finicky and kind of annoying. There we go. One. I'm gonna put his tail on is another thing. Okay, he's coming out. Ooh, he's a heavy little figure. And he's out. Okay. I like it. He's got a a very sort of classic look to him. The King-Goji is the name of this particular Godzilla. Hopefully he's in focus, kind of. Seems to be focusing my face. Which is a bit of an issue. But there we go. Loving the detail on this thing. Really nice detail. They capture the sculpt beautifully. And, ooh. Another thing about this figure, he's got lots of ball joints in his tail. Like, I'm curious, is there any rubber bits or is it all ball joints? Oh man, it's like very segmented. It's not quite Monster Arts level, but it's really getting there. Only this little bit at the end is a piece of rubber, and I don't think you can bend it, but that's so cool. So we're gonna just stuff this in. This may need a hairdryer, but I find that generally if you just use brute masculine force, you can kind of get it to work. Come on. Alright. God damn it. Okay, I'll do that in a sec. Let's have a look at this beam here. So, oh dear. I'm about to knock over my table. So, I don't know if you can see the beam. It's like a clear plastic that has some white paint over it. Really nice fiery texture. Really cool beam. This would go really nicely with some Monster Arts figures. Perhaps even this NECA 54. Looking really cool with that beam. Oh man, thank you NECA for not being retarded for once with this line. And actually giving us something pretty great. Ooh, so aside from the tail not going on, you know what, I'll just leave the tail off at the moment. I'll do it properly later so don't break anything. But yeah, let's go over just some of my initial thoughts of this thing. Sculpt, beautiful. It's done in sort of a charcoal gray type color, slightly greenish probably, because I think it's hard to see in this light because I had to film this at night and I'm just using lamps because my proper light is just broken. But it looks accurate to the film, the coloring. The spines are nice and thick, a thicker material as opposed to like the 54, which they did like a flimsy fin material, and they painted them kind of lazily. I don't know. They didn't do the greatest job on the spines on the 54. The shape is right, but like they feel cheap, and they don't seem painted all that artistically. They're very sharp, sort of done. But this has like texture and a gradient. Looks really nice. Oh man, making me really excited to see them do more Showa era Godzilla figures, because we really don't have enough of those, I think. So as far as this figure goes, very positive impression so far. Very bulky, heavy figure. Um, Now I don't think this one's perfect. Perfect, just right offhand. I think the joints to the feet are really sort of awkward looking. They're very thin. Like you can see the feet, his legs start off really thick and then they taper off, and then his feet are just kind of there. That's really bugging me. I think that looks dumb. They did a much better job on the 54 where they actually gave him some bulk just at his ankles. So yeah, that is an issue there. Unfortunately, uh, hands are cool. They have the joints. They can do a fist, which is really a unique feature to these figures. And if I'm correct, from what I've seen in other people's reviews, there's another issue with the mouth. Yeah, I mean the actual sculpt and the paint and everything looks gorgeous, but especially if you look at it front on, come on, go and focus. Yeah, that looks great, doesn't it? Turn it to the side. I don't know, his jaw's kind of looking a little goofy there. I don't know. Looks a little, not as bad as I've seen in some photos, the way it's sort of coming out. But yeah, I don't know. Probably not even as bad as the 54. Because for some reason they give him like an underbite when they open the mouths on these figures. Hopefully you can kind of see that. I'll showcase it better in my full review. And since his mouth doesn't open super wide, it's not too bad, but it looks a little bit unnatural. And that's a bit of a shame. So other than those features, the ankle joint being actually probably the worst feature. I was kind of worried it would be the mouth for me, but in person, those little ankles are starting to bother me a bit. How's his articulation? Yeah, pretty standard. His legs actually do kick forward quite a bit, which is pretty cool. Articulation is pretty good for a figure like this. Joint here kind of does that. Arms are nice. And like I said, the tail is going to be awesome, especially once I put this ball joint in and get them all put together. And yeah, so aside from those two things, this is bloody awesome. Oh, he's actually got like a little hole in the back of his mouth for this beam. Isn't that awesome? Look at that. Self-sustaining beam. And yeah, like I said, comes with a little backdrop. Looking very cool there. I think he did fight Kong at Mount Fuji in the film, so very much appropriate. And the box is gorgeous. So, so glad I could finally get my hands on this figure. I'm really dying to see what NECA does next in the Godzilla line. I'm fingers crossed for a 64 Godzilla, because I bloody love 64. I got the X Plus just recently, and it's been my like most wanted figure for a long time. So that review is coming out really soon. You may have seen the unboxing of that one, but yeah. Really dying to see what else NECA can do. Hopefully they redo some of their figures, like the 84 and the 90s Godzillas. I'd really love to see them do those ones over, because they can do better, and whoever they got sculpting these from now on is doing a much better job than whoever they had doing this initially. Whether it's the same person or they just got someone better, who knows. But yeah, really great to see figures like this. And yeah, I've been trying to get my hands on the monster arts of this guy. I actually pre-ordered it a long time ago, but the seller seems to be a dodgy ass seller and and said they shipped it, but it just hasn't arrived. So I don't know. I'll try and do a comparison eventually. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of this figure. Did the little things like the ankles or the dodgy jaw bother you? I think NECA really needs to sort out this jaw issue, because they're doing this. They're really improving these things, but it's just these minor little things. If they just tightened up, then they would be blowing it out of the water, if you know what I mean. And especially if you're coming from a place where these things do cost a little bit more, than they do in the US. Yeah, stuff like that would really make these more worthwhile. Actually, the feet in general look a little derpy. His kind of toenails look a little short and weird. That's another thing I just noticed. So yeah, I'm gonna keep sort of get a feel for this guy for over the next few days, and I'll record my full review. And yeah, hopefully, yeah, I'll have some more things to say. But as it stands, I'm really happy with this guy. I'd say definitely worth picking up, even with the minor little gripes. So thanks for watching my unboxing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video around, and all that jazz. Peace out, guys. May all your vinyl be irradiated vinyl. Over and out.